How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner.
How you doing?
That was fast.
We've got a good old
The big three.
fun, the big three. We had a major disc golf championship go down this past weekend. United States Women's Disc Golf Championship happened out in Wisconsin. Actually, I said that last on the preview show. I said Wisconsin, and someone commented was like, "We don't talk like that." I'm sorry. It's just a fun way to say Wisconsin.
Cheese. They talk like this. Cheese.
Is that more what they say?
Yeah.
I just think Wisconsin sounds more fun, but I'm sorry.
That's pretty fun.
I offended someone.
Accepted
Okay. Sorry about that.
by the Wisconsiners.
So did they move Fort Rock Hill, South Carolina to Wisconsin?
Yep.
Okay.
So we had Evelina Solonen taking it
funny.
down.
Thank you.
And then we had Cadence Burge and Haley King. Actually, I probably should say Haley King and Cadence Burge coming second because Haley was in this a little bit more than Cadence down the stretch. Very
I'd say.
weird weekend out there, if I'm just being straight with you. The only thing that we got right on the preview show was we were pretty close on the final score.
Yeah.
I said I expected to be around 20, maybe a little off
That's
if the
true.
weather was bad, and the weather was windy, and it was a little off.
Credit
It was
where credit's
17 under. Outside of that, we predicted nothing correct.
I don't really
Which
think,
surprises
I don't really think
pretty
that's
much no
fair
one.
to us because I don't think anybody would have.
I bet some live chat people did.
So we basically said
yeah,
we
you're
were
probably right.
we were certain that either Holland, Missy, Kristen, or Silva were going to win this weekend. Instead, only one of them came in the top 5, and
Yeah,
one of them.
there's some crazy takes to back that we did. I think I rattled off like a legitimately said like if one of those like we were just saying that as if it were a certainty. Like if one of those players does not win this tournament, like it would be appalling.
I think at some point you said like you basically gave a Trevor Stop guarantee Henna Blomroos wasn't going to win because I tried mentioning Henna is like
Well, that one
win.
at least that one hit.
I tried to mention like Henna could get in contention to win. Trevor's like, no, stop it. That's not gonna. And Henna Blomroos going into the final round had the lead.
By the very end,
She did it. She came in 9th.
By
She had a rough final round.
By
but
the very end, I at least had said something along the lines of, you know, this is going to be really on brand when Evelina just like ends up doing well or winning. Like it is like we're always scheduled for one of these majors or just sometimes they're just FPO events in general where like things just aren't quite as they seem. But this is just kind of U.S. women's a little bit. Like it's not like we necessarily got like Evelina, you know, is a multiple-time major champion, so there's not a shock there. It's just the way it just didn't go with the sequence of this season at all.
No. So the how it was shaping up, really, round 1 and 2 were at Rolling Ridge, and then round 3 and 4 were at what the layout's called is Super Silver, but it was at Silver Creek Park, I believe. So round 1 opens up, and what was very interesting was you had Evelina, Henna, Own, Haley. You had several players scoring well. Like Evelina led the field at 8 under par, which made sense. We
Shout out for that ace though.
Yeah, she had an ace on 16.
Sick.
We had predicted we were expecting kind of like 5 under to average. And then the last card out, the lead card, which is kind of where Kristen Silva, I believe it was Kristen Silva, Missy Page was the round 1 feature card. They just kind of struggled, which Kristen didn't necessarily struggle the whole round. She was actually 4 under through 9 on a really good pace. But then hole 10, this is kind of the story of the event for me, was there were holes that depending on which group you watched looked impossible, and then you'd watch a different group and it looked like that's
kind of
very
the
straightforward.
story of wooded disc golf though, isn't it? Where like think about some of the courses that we like, and there's sometimes there's this effect of like whether you see a hole in person or on coverage because like there are holes that you will see on coverage look super easy because like everybody just happens to hit the initial line, but if you miss it and then if you go play that hole in person, you're like, oh my gosh, like if you like it's no wonder they can flip-flop so quickly because it just comes down to like, do you get off the tee?
Yeah, because like round 2, so round 1, hole 10, Henna Blomroos, I believe, was the only birdie on the hole. That's correct. Round 1, Henna Blomroos, only birdie on the hole. Round 2, which is when Henna was on lead card, feature card, you actually had Henna Blomroos and Haley King both parked for birdie. And then I believe you had 2 bogeys. I think Evelina and I think it was Own was the other one. They both bogeyed. So the whole played like even par. It looked fine. Because basically what it was from the camera angle, the camera shot a little bit off to the left. So it was hard to see how much they had to actually yank the shot over. but they were kind of pulling it into this hallway, and it was like 395 feet downhill through this hallway. And it seemed like when you hit it, pretty straightforward, but the problem was if you kicked left, you were OB.
So dead, yeah.
And so Kristen ends up struggling on that hole, so she triple bogeys that hole. That's the only blemish on her scorecard, and then she pars out. So she shot a 1 under opening round. Evelina shot a 8 under. The other candidates we expected to do well, Holland 2 under, Silva 1 under, and then Missy Gannon really struggled that opening round. She was a few over par, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm actually going to have to Command F to find her.
How much more severe?
She was 8 over after round 1. So
How
she
much
dropped
further
to
did
60.
that hole play over par than like the next hardest? I feel like
That's a good question.
It's funny that this is happening. We don't really see this a lot in the MPO division, but I think in FPO it's almost becoming a brand now between this and obviously the Sprinkle Valley thing. Like we're seeing more frequently like this one hole that's like breaking people.
But I don't think what was weird about this hole was
this
like
one was not the same way.
Sprinkle Valley, it was like you could kind of see it, like how it was going to happen. This hole was like if you hit the gap, birdie was very much there.
It's just the line and the positioning of the OB.
It called a lot because the reason the OB was there was another hole that kind of played alongside it, so there had to be OB there. But because you were yanking on Annie, if you hit a tree, you were kicking left.
Yeah, and
that led to OB. And obviously, one OB shot doesn't cause a 6. Kristen had multiple mistakes on that hole, but it was because of that. Round 1, it played 1 stroke over par. And round 2, it played 1 stroke over par. So round 1 and 2, it averaged 1 over. Round 1, there was 1 birdie. Round 2, there was 2 birdies, and both of them happened to be on lead cards. So that's what was funny about it. Was like if you're watching coverage, it didn't look like that crazy of a hole.
Right. It's just like
round 2 because it was like have to, and they were parked. It wasn't like they made crazy putts. Like no, they were both within C1, like both within the bullseye. But anyway, so that's kind of like that was Kristen round 1. She messed up there. Holland parted. Holland just kind of played it up and down. Round 1, there was a rain or a storm delay, and then they kind of came back. There was wind. From what I understand, there was wind all day, according to the Jomez commentary. But scoring-wise, it seemed like if you went out later in the day, you were dealt with the worse hand. But then round 2, that would have kind of flipped, you would have thought, because obviously the players who played bad would have been farther down the leaderboard. Silva kind of pulls it together a little bit. She gets to 6 under. She's 6 strokes back. Holland, it gets to 5 under. She's 7 strokes back. Missy's just out of this thing. She shot 2 under, but she was in 36 at this point. She was like, she had basically to make up 18 strokes across 2 rounds. That wasn't going to happen.
She could not throw.
And then Kristen shoots another 1 under. So Kristen's 10 strokes back. So going into the weekend, because the one thing we all talked about on the preview show was looking at these 2 courses, it didn't seem like they were going to play drastically different. Yeah. But looking at the leaderboard, you had Henna, Haley, Evelina kind of emerging. Emily Weatherman was right in there. Cadence Burge was right in there.
Yeah.
But those 3 were kind of like emerging as, okay, these are the front runners. But this was on 1 course. So what I was wondering is this next day going to be a course where, the Holland, Silva, Evelina, all of them, or Kristen, are going to shred, and they're still in this. I didn't know.
And what was one thing we talked about that was huge for Kristen on the preview show? Not playing herself out of the major in the first round or 2. And it's what she did. Well, she went out there and just played herself out of the major.
Round 3, I started to think that was the case. I started to think, it is a course situation, because the lead card, you have 2 unders and 4 unders coming in. Kristen pops off a 7 under.
She gave herself a chance at least.
So now Kristen's only 5 back of the lead. And when I was doing the math, basically if she shot another 7 under and everyone ahead of her shot basically what they shot, she was going to be within 1 stroke of the lead. So I was like, this is a classic. Tomorrow's going to be electric. Kristen's going to be storming back from behind. Holland Hanley had put herself only 4 strokes out of it. Silva was 1 stroke behind Kristen. I was like, what's funny is like, this is probably going to end up looking like a chalk leaderboard. And you're just not.
I kind of was thinking the same thing.
I was like, at the end, we're probably going to have Evelina, Holland, Kristen, Silva up top, and you're not going to realize that they weren't out of it until the 11th hour.
I saw those, a lot of those names starting to lurk up the leaderboard a little bit going into the final day, and I was like, you know what? After all this, we're going to end up like being like, that doesn't look that crazy, especially if had we gotten. I mean, I still think the way it turned out, there were plenty of players that we really maybe wouldn't have expected, but if we had gotten Kristen as the winner, we wouldn't have looked at this leaderboard necessarily and thought it was that ridiculous.
No.
You look up and you see some of the names. I mean, Emily Weatherman was a bit of a nice surprise, but like Cadence Burge has been playing incredible disc golf. So like there isn't a ton of shockers up there. It's more so that the abundance of them, and then also having a more of a surprise winner.
Yeah. But then the final round, the usual suspects, if you will, just couldn't get anything going in the front half. And so by the time Holland got something going, because Kristen really never got anything going. She started to get some birdies going, and there was like an outside chance, but her putter was really just what was killing her a lot of times. Like she hasn't
been good enough.
She was giving herself some looks, but then just couldn't convert on them. So down the stretch, the usual suspects were all pretty much you knew they were gonna be out of it. They kept on commentary, rightfully so, saying like Kristen's not out of this, and she wasn't. But they would cut to her, and she was missing something. It could have been her broken toe, maybe, but she was just missing something.
She posted, she laid it on with the post, and she said not only the toe, but she said she's still sick.
Yeah,
still fighting sickness.
Maybe something with that's going on. I don't know, but you kind of got the feeling, okay, this is not going to work out. Cadence Burge, though, from that same card, was playing phenomenal. She was slowly chipping away at the lead. She was kind of putting herself where she was a few holes ahead of, at that time, I think it was Haley King and Henna that were kind of battling for the lead at that moment. And Cadence kept either taking the solo lead or tying them, even though she was like 2 holes ahead. But you knew she's got to get in the clubhouse ahead of them.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of chipping back and forth. Emily Weatherman was right in it. Henna Blomroos starts to fall off. Evelina Salonen and Haley start to push. Emily Weatherman, poor thing, on hole, I think it was hole 13. She's still kind of right in this thing, in the mix. Had a approach shot with a somewhat tight window. Not really, though. And just early releases a backhand, hits a tree 10 feet in front of her. Not the end of the world. Just get up and down. Then throws the next shot, and they actually had to cut to the drone for you to see it. Just sailed over the peninsula, OB into the lake.
Yeah.
At that point, she took a 6. That kind of dropped her back.
Yeah, she was right in it. I was thinking she was going to end up making a push there.
So that kind of stalled all momentum, and it was in a stretch where she lost 3 strokes to Evelina on that hole, and then proceeded to lose 3 more on the next 3 holes. So she lost 6 strokes to Evelina across a 4-hole stretch. So that kind of was the end of Emily Weatherman's day. And then it was basically turned into Haley King versus Evelina showdown down the stretch.
Really, once they both got to 17 under, with a couple holes to play there, it was like, because when Cadence first got in the, things can happen. And when like you got somebody like Evelina who maybe will just like miss a random putt, her putting was a little bit more reliable than normal, but still, you never know. So when Cadence was in at 16, I was like, there's a chance there. I think that Cadence missed a few chances. Like there were she needed to do a little more scoring because she played a clean last round, and it was a good round. What was it, 6 under? 6 under? Yeah.
6 under final.
So like it was a good last round, but she needed to score a little bit more down the stretch.
She missed
to put
a
pressure
somewhat short putt on 16, I think it was.
Yes, because if she converts a little bit more down the stretch, then it's a lot more pressure. But the fact that Evelina and Haley were able to get past her with a few holes left, it was like, okay, she's probably going to be out of it.
So at the moment, they were finishing 16. Cadence was in the clubhouse at 16 under. And at that moment, Evelina and Haley were both at 17 under. Evelina gives herself a birdie putt on 17 to get to 18 under.
What did they have it at? It was like 25 up the hill?
They don't give me what she missed it, but she missed the putt.
It felt like it was about 25 up the hill.
She actually skipped off the top, and like I saw the gallery in the background, half of them start walking, and I was like, they've never seen this story before. Like she's got a 15-foot comeback putt with pressure.
Yeah.
This is far from over.
You don't go anywhere. It wasn't a terrible, like some of her misses could be iffy, but like at least she missed it high.
Yeah, like, she made the comeback putt, so she saved the par. So now we're walking into 18, all tied up. And to be honest with you, 18 is a short par 5. There's OB to be considered, but when you're looking at Evelina and Haley and how far they can throw, in my head, this was pretty much a certain playoff. I was like, one of them could eagle, but I was thinking...
I'm only thinking no because I'm thinking if Evelina has to make a 20-footer and Haley has to make a 20-footer, I know who I like more.
I was just thinking there wasn't even going to be a need for a 20-footer because...
You know, like layup birdies.
It was 793 foot. Yeah. I was thinking they were going to have 100 feet in for their layup tap out.
It would have been likely for them to have a short up and down.
To me, it didn't seem like a hole that was like, this is going to cause much separation.
It wasn't a super difficult hole.
No, and so Evelina threw a fine drive up to the left where she should. Haley makes her first mistake, throws it low into the ground.
She didn't commit to it.
But she still got like probably 150 to 200 feet off the tee. So at that point, she has like 2 shots to throw 500 feet.
Yeah, the toughest part about the second shot, I think, where her difficulty came from is that, she got a little over aggressive, but it was a little bit blind too, and the angle of the hillside was weird as well. It was an awkward throw.
So she chucks a shot high in the air on Anheuser, in my opinion, way too hard for what she needed.
Yeah. There's a lot of adrenaline going, I guess.
It stalled out and then flexed way OB, and it still wasn't over, but it was all but over at that point. And I was just very surprised with her shot selection. I felt like a chippy forehand could have accomplished what she needed. Yeah. But maybe the hillside was too steep to where she needed to go Anheuser. But with an Anheuser, I feel like it could have been a flippy mid or a flippy putter. Like, I felt like she was trying to take almost 350 to 400 feet of distance there. Yeah. That's what the shot felt like she was trying to do, when she only needed 250 to give herself a shot into the green. Because the only thing you couldn't do was do what she did and go OB left there.
Well, yeah, I mean, she has a second chance because Evelina lays up, has like basically, I mean, it was like wasn't it kind of like a jump layup almost from what she was doing to try to get up and down for
her birdie?
For her birdie.
Yeah, so Evelina lays up, not a great layup.
It was probably at least 20 feet.
She put it around 20 feet. And Haley at this point has, I'm going to call it 50. It's somewhere around there for par.
Yeah, because she had the forehand upshot and just left it short under the trees.
So Haley has a putt for par. If she makes that circle 2 putt, it would have forced Evelina to make a 20-footer under pressure for the win.
Right.
Which she definitely could have done, but Haley misses that, so Evelina was able to lay up and tap out for the win. And then Haley ended up dropping into a tie for second with Cadence. So Cadence, definitely an emerging star, puts herself another phenomenal finish.
Playing great golf.
Haley King put herself in contention. We aren't going to see her again, I think, until Ledgestone. Is that right? We aren't going to see her again for a while.
The next one that she is signed up for is August Ledgestone.
I don't know if Haley
sure what the mystery is
has a job and is just playing disc golf on the side because we haven't seen her much this year. She's dealing with some injuries. She did talk about that in an interview where she has some injury, but it just is a weird, like, we're just not seeing her. And when we do see her, she comes top 10. Like, she plays very well when we do see her.
Her like 10th, 6th, second now.
Yeah. We just don't see her often. Yeah. Holland Hanley was able to continue her top 5 streak. And then Evelina almost kind of turning into the Isaac Robinson of FPO. If there's a major, better watch out.
Yeah, she
won Champions Cup and Worlds last year,
and now she's got a U.S.
Women's. They were saying this is kind of
here's the real story. She needs one for the Grand Slam.
No, they were giving it to her because she won 2018 Konopiste. So they said a European major is the 4th for the Grand Slam on coverage. They said it, and I just shook my head and Liz said what I said.
I don't even really know how to argue with it.
That's what I told her. I said it's kind of dumb because like European Open is the European major to win, but like also they change majors so often that you can't really have.
Yeah,
a Grand
honestly,
Slam. If you want to say a European major is the 4th for the Grand Slam, then Evelina does have it. 2018 European Open or Konopiste, 2018 Konopiste, she won the same major that Eagle won back in the day. So if you give her that, then she does have the Grand Slam because she has Champions Cup, Worlds, U.S. Women's,
and it's tough too because like. European Open is also moving away from the beast as well, so like you can't really tie it to that course. So it does almost just become like just the European
this year
major.
It's Worlds because you have European Disc Golf Festival.
So like the way it's going, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give her credit. I'm gonna say she has a Grand Slam,
career Grand Slam. She's done something Paul hasn't. There you go. That's done something Paige hasn't. Or did Paige win a Champions Cup? Paige did win a Champions Cup.
Yeah, Kristen lost that Champions Cup.
So Paige has done it. So, I mean, looking at this weekend...
The list is really funny of people because you have to win the Champions Cup.
Yeah.
Have to, like, in the way we're doing it. So, it's really funny, like, that list. Like, Presnell, man,
he's close.
He's close.
Isaac Robinson's the closest MPO.
Just needs the European.
I think he just needs the European major.
But Gannon
doesn't have Champions Cup.
Yeah, he just needs Champions Cup.
And Worlds.
Oh, yeah, he needs Worlds as well. So, yeah, Presnell's only one behind Gannon. I mean, in the race. It's not... not over yet.
I think because if you look at the stats this weekend, Evelina's putting overall was better than normal, but she was still only 66% C1X on the weekend. She lost 4 strokes, gained putting to the field, but gained tee to green. She gained 35.19 strokes tee to green. Craziest gain tee to green.
Completely nuts. The fact that
she was 9 strokes over the next best, which was Henna.
That is like... so hard to even like wrap your head around.
She threw so well. I think what really played well for her this weekend was the wind, because the wind somewhat neutralized a lot of people's putter. What's funny is actually the best putter gained putting statistic-wise was Holland Handley because she putted 58% circle 2 on the weekend, and she's typically known for her throwing, but she lost 20 strokes to Evelina tee to green this weekend. But a lot of the like typical players, like a Silva Saarinen type player where, okay, they're kind of like their putting is what they have. Teeing off later in the day, we just saw their putting slip. So like Silva Saarinen C1X putting was only 76% this weekend, where we're typically seeing her in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
The same thing. I think Kristen's putter was 69% this weekend. Obviously, we're used to seeing her a little bit higher. So there was a lot of the like typical players that their putter just got neutralized somewhat. Was that alone enough? I don't know, but Evelina just threw.
That Brody posted.
Yeah, it was funny. Round 3, lead card FPO missed 24 Circle 1X putts.
Circle 1X, I feel like, has been the most ruthless statistic because
it took away all the 10-footers.
It exposes people, because like if you had the right kind of day to where most of your putts were really close, you were just, your percentage was going to look good. But now it's like, I mean, it's literally like we're going to take that distance that almost everybody is kind of bad at, and we're going to make it a category, and it's beautiful because like C1X, it is like such a huge factor on how well you played.
Well, what's crazy is like, let's just say that Evelina, let's just play this game. Let's say Evelina, what's a good putting percentage for C1X that you're
for
like,
FPO,
that is a solid putter. Yeah.
FPO, like 85 and above.
85%. So let's say that Evelina would have made 85% of her C1X putts. She would have added 11 strokes to her game. So she would have, or taken 11 strokes off. So she would have been at 28 under. Wow. She would have won by 12. Like, that's how good she was starting the disc, because she won this tournament putting 66%. And that's out of 61 putts, C1X putts. So, like, there was a lot of room. That's what's crazy is, like, with how good Evelina throws, if she can putt, if she could consistently putt well, even if she just improved by 10%, she would probably week in and week out be the greatest FPO player.
I mean,
it's hard to, like, because when she wins, even when she wins Worlds, like, you're looking at her putting stat and there's always like, holy cow, there's so many strokes there.
It's very rare that she's not one of the players with some of the best strokes gained tee to green.
I mean, 35 tee to green, gain tee to green might be the greatest stat I've ever seen. Like, that is obviously U.S. women's is a lot deeper field, so you have more local
so
players.
That she beat the next best player by 9.
Yeah, like, Henna was 26, Haley
crazy.
King was 26. Like, they lost 9 strokes to her tee to green. I mean, if you go down
Henna,
to,
like, that's your game too.
If you go down to Silva lost 15 to her. Kristen lost 16 to her. The wild one for me is Holland, who, like I said, lost a full 20 strokes tee to green. And, like, obviously a wooded course, that's not exactly Holland's forte, but with such an on putting weekend for Holland, she was 80% C1X, 58% C2.
Yeah.
Like, she was on fire.
Must have been a weird feeling
putting
for Holland to, like, she's like, I'm doing the thing, like, with the putter right now that, like, that usually leads to me winning, and I just can't catch anybody.
Yeah, it was just the courses, I think. Just they just didn't line up with Holland's game.
Yeah.
It was a weird tight woods where they weren't all tight woods. There was some open, and there were some shorter par 4s and so on and so forth. But I think that it was like, if the par 4 was short enough, it was short enough for everyone.
Yeah.
If the par 3 was long enough, it was a little uncomfortably long for everyone. There wasn't that, like, money range where your longer players could really take advantage.
Well, here's the question. Like, this is the one event we get each year that is these courses are selected and designed specifically for the women, right? Which is something like we'd like to see more often. And I saw mixed feedback from the courses.
From watching them, I think
they had strengths and weaknesses.
I thought there were some that just required a little too much luck.
Yes, I agree. The one thing you at least can take away as a positive is I think that the scoring, the way that it moved around and where the finishing scores ended up, is I do like that. Like, I think they scored appropriately. I just do think there was
just a few holes that needed some trees gone.
Some kind of fluky results that led to it, and I think that's interesting to look at going forward. Is like, this should be an event where they should really be prioritizing the women's course design, because they can just completely make that the priority.
Yeah, and when we bring you the disc golf stories, no matter how uncomfortable it makes everyone. So we got to briefly touch on the trophy. Maybe on's not the best thing for me to have said there. We got to briefly talk about the trophy.
The worst way you could
That was not the
topic.
best way I could introduce the topic.
Wow.
But the trophy. So, look, okay, I'm going to just cut to you straight. All right, I'll keep this PG. They attempted to make a lighthouse for the iconic lighthouse hole out there. And if you imagine, I don't think you have to jump. I don't think you have to jump far to see what it looks like when it's all said and done.
It looks
if
like
it was supposed to be a lighthouse.
It looks more like what you don't want it to look like than almost anything in creation.
And just if you want to go to the PDGA, if you want to see what it looks
here's
like.
What my opinion is. If they would have went for an accurate painting description of the lighthouse, it would have helped a lot. The abstract white paint.
Sure.
Really doesn't help.
A lighthouse in and of itself.
If it would have been red with the black top, and
it's funny
a railing,
because somebody literally commented on one of the
that
Facebook
would have
posts.
helped a lot.
Somebody commented on one of the Facebook posts. They had a lighthouse trophy from a C tier they had won, and it was just like a model of a lighthouse almost. And it was it's a lighthouse.
This wasn't a lighthouse.
It wasn't a
lighthouse. I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's not a lighthouse.
It wasn't a lighthouse. And the thing that because
it's so bad it feels purposeful.
It's crazy.
It was, yeah.
I can't believe how that can be allowed. There's no way that a group of people, it passed through the hands of enough people to get to the champion, and not one person was like.
But at what point? At what point can you not
There's a common denominator with two of the known trophy uh-ohs. The last one was this happened at a Canadian event. I think it was the Discmania Canadian event. Or maybe it wasn't.
No, that
one.
was the
jersey. But didn't they? Where was the last one where there was a handmade trophy that was crazy? It didn't look inappropriate, but it was just super bad.
I don't remember. That was back in Brody's trophy rating days.
Similar to this one is you commission somebody to make it. They put time and effort into it.
They send it to you.
And now you have to say no.
That's the other
different
problem
than somebody giving you an order form and being come on, guys, pick out a different one. They may not have seen it. Now, they should be clearing these things. And you should also listen. And you can say whatever you want about us. Look online right now. It is the consensus. We're not being weirdos. It's the consensus. If it were borderline, we wouldn't.
It was
be
one of those
talking about
situations
it right
where
now.
you opened the Disc Golf Pro Tour post about it, and I said, I got to see these comments.
That's what I'm saying.
This is not going to go.
If it were borderline, we wouldn't even be talking about it on the show. It's you can't, as a brand, you cannot do it. It's memed forever now.
My personal
I even had people
opinion,
texting me about it. I don't hear about frequently about disc golf on the course stuff. But they were texting me what the heck's up with that U.S. Women's Trophy? And I was like, I don't. That's the other tough part is it's U.S. Women's. This is a women's only tournament.
Incredibly tough.
I had the thought too of there's a lot of divisions here. And from what I understand, this was a handcrafted trophy for all the divisions.
I wonder if they all look
the
same.
So I'm hoping not, because I had the thought of, as a parent, if I had my daughter win FJ12 and is handed this lighthouse, handed this lighthouse, just won a major disc golf tournament, clearly proud, wants to display it, what do you do? Can't put it on a shelf in your house?
I would say, may I have a plaque?
Yeah, what I think I would go.
Like a Christmas story, you accidentally drop it, and
I think I would go to the local trophy store and be like, hey, you know what? This doesn't say the date you want it on. I'm gonna get you a trophy or a plaque. I would say something where we can put that in your room so that you know when you won, where you won, all of that stuff, and we'll save this one in a box downstairs.
It's crazy.
I don't know, wild stuff.
My personal opinion and policy on something like this would be, if it comes anywhere close to being something that would make you think of that, just stop. If there's I'm even a believer that if you are unfortunate enough to have a last name that says something in it, don't name your store after it. Just in protection for your future bloodline and just the overall community. I'm sorry that your last name.
What store are you
I'm
talking
sorry
about?
that your last name. I'm sorry that your last.
Say what store is
I'm
this
just
a reference
saying.
to?
Well, there's a lot, But I'm sorry if your last name happens to be Badcock. I don't think you should necessarily name a store after your last name. And just because I am like very careful with it to where, like, in my mind, where I'm like, if it's anywhere close to leading somebody towards any kind of inappropriate anything like that, let's not come anywhere close.
Well, the last
to
name
it.
I think is a little different than like this is a handmade.
I know. I'm just telling you that's
lighthouse.
how conservative I would be on it.
Well,
this would have to be an extreme lapse of judgment to where it doesn't kind of veer off the norm path, it only looks like one thing and nothing else in the world.
May I make a suggestion internally? I think we put the foundation response team to the test.
Okay.
Obviously, all of us in this room know what's going on. Okay. But outside of this room, we have the warehouse guys.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if they listen to Grit Block. If so, this whole plan goes out the window.
They do.
Okay.
Dang it. Okay. Well, I'm still going to say
maybe
it.
not all the time, though.
Because we have the Heiser Club Championships coming up. So I say that we put how would Foundation respond to this situation to the test. And I'll tell them I'm handling the Heiser Club Championship trophy.
Oh, my gosh.
And I just order one of these handmade lighthouses from wherever they got them. Have it come in.
Well, we know where
They're going to know what
they
know what the trophy looks like. Oh,
yes.
That's like they've seen this.
That would be very fun. Just have it come in like 2 weeks before. I have another trophy.
See if they'll be like,
and just see if they nix it. See if it comes in, and if they just like see what happens. I don't know, because I can understand the like tournament director.
Funny concept.
And like the whole crew, like there's someone who like went out of their way, commissioned one of our artists, because I'm assuming this was handmade, and was like, hey, I want all of these made, and they come in, they're all excited, and they open the box and they show it to you, and you know what they're holding. But they're really excited about it's a handmade recreation of the lighthouse on this whole, we're so stoked, tournament's in 2 weeks, we just got the trophies in, and you're looking at it going, as like you're the PDGA for the major, and you're looking at it going, guys, am I the only one thinking we can't hand that out? Like, what do you do? I mean, my opinion, you say, look, there's a trophy store down the street.
Back in the kiln.
We're going to go get a trophy that's just, is it going to turn heads? No, but that's much better than one that does for the wrong reasons. And we're just going to give that out. Is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that for something like this, and probably because nobody wants to be the guy that's like,
that's what I'm saying.
Are you guys seeing this?
You don't want to be the guy that's like, am I the only one?
You guys don't see that?
Yeah.
Like, but I think that for something like this, maybe you should put your mind in the gutter for just a second and just wonder, what are the comments going to say?
This isn't the first time this has happened either.
No, I forget what the other one was.
It shouldn't be.
This one's more
It shouldn't happen this often.
The last one was like people. Someone commented about it, and we didn't talk about it because it was like, that's a little bit of a stretch. This one, everyone's commenting about it because it's not a stretch at all. You look at it, and it took me a while to figure out what it was supposed to be. It took me a while to be like, that's supposed to be a lighthouse. Because I never
got to the conclusion.
Like, what is it? I mean, I knew what it was, but I knew it wasn't what I wanted.
Why is it?
Yeah. Why is it that? Yeah, crazy stuff. So, all-time trophy ranking, this might be number one. It looks like a number one. All right, it's time for a fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia, right after these messages.
How? Why?
All right,
Who,
guys.
when, and where?
I got some really fun data for you today. You guys ready to get down in data with me?
I'm ready.
Yeah, Trev.
So,
you're the stats guy. Crazy fun lines.
The first question I had to ask for this trivia is what led me to this other data that will lead to our other game. So I'm going to ask you the opening question, and this one's just kind of a fun one to see if you guys could get close to it.
Okay.
If you were to take the average height of a disc, okay, and stack...
Walk me through height.
Like it's sitting on the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
The average height of a disc.
Small.
And you're stacking up. You have like as many of that average disc as you want. So just picture like any like mid-range or whatever you want. And you were to stack them on top of each other.
Okay.
How many discs would you have to stack to be as tall as the Eiffel Tower?
As long as the Eiffel.
Can you tell us how tall the Eiffel Tower is? Or no?
I'll tell you. Yeah, the Eiffel Tower is 300 meters high. 330 meters high, I believe.
Can I use a calculator?
Can you tell me in freedom units?
330 meters would be like
1,000 feet.
I would say that a disc is about an inch is the way I would think about it.
24,000.
Okay. 24,000.
I would say that. How many feet was it?
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet. Okay,
I'm saying a disc is about half an inch. Is what I'm thinking.
about half an inch. Yeah, I guess it. Yeah, I would agree with you. That's about half an inch. I think I agree because I would agree that a disc is about half an inch, and that's the same way I would do the math, or I would attempt to.
24,000.
Well, pretty good math. 17,554. But you guys were like in at least some amount of a ballpark. I think, you could have made a pretty silly guess there. So anyways, this led me to a Reddit thread where, because I was, I was looking for the average height of a disc. And this led me to a Reddit thread where people have actually studied the data that the PDGA gives out on they have all of the data for every disc that's ever been approved. And so people have found the average. So what they have is weight, diameter, height, rim depth, inside rim diameter, rim thickness, rim depth to diameter ratio, rim configuration, and flexibility. Those are the metrics that the PDGA measures. And so people have gone in and they looked at every single disc in the database and configured the average of those. And so they came up with a list with the 30 most average discs based on percentage of variability.
That's funny.
How much they vary from each of those. It gives them percentage. So these are the 30 discs that are the closest to the average of all the discs ever made and approved.
That's
and I want to see who can be the first one. You go one at a time. Who can be the first one to guess one of the discs on this list?
How many discs are there?
This is not easy.
30 of them.
30. And I'm looking for specifics. Okay, it has to be specifics. So, if you were to say,
It's a mold, right?
Right, but some molds has a lot of different kinds of molds. There's some that have been retooled. You have to get the specific mold. Yeah. And we'll say this: if somebody names one, the other person has one more try to name one that's closer to the perfect average.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not gonna say my line of
Go
thought.
ahead.
I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Can I say one?
Yeah. You might either get this really quick or it might be really hard.
I'm gonna go with
because there's some wild discs on here.
a heat.
The heat is not on the list.
Dang it.
I feel like it'd have to be a little deeper. I'm gonna go with the Crave.
The Crave is not on the list.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a zombie.
Ooh, I like that.
Good guess. Good guess. Not on the list.
Okay.
Let's just go Buzz.
Buzz
think
is
that's a
not
good
on
guess.
the list.
Okay. He said that quick.
Yeah.
Note that.
Well, I've been looking at it long enough now. I'm getting more confident.
Okay, now I'm going to go leopard.
Yeah, that's where my head
Leopard
was
is
going.
not on the list.
I feel like it's got to be really neutral.
Well, I don't know if the flight matters as much as
I know.
the
That's what
rim depth.
No, neutral as in it's not super
I feel like-
sharp. It's
yeah.
not super dull.
I feel like it's got the 6-speed range feels right.
It does feel right.
But maybe it's a little faster. So let's go T-Bird.
Not on the list.
I'm gonna go beast.
not
That's
on the
got to be
list.
too fast.
But the world makes so many drivers.
It's true.
Is what
Remember,
I'm
this is
thinking.
the
There's a lot of
average
distance
of what's
drivers.
made.
I think there's more distance drivers out there than putters. Is what I'm thinking.
A lot of these discs on here, now look at it, there are some that are quite different, but there's a good few that are somewhat similar to each other. It makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But
River.
the flights do vary a lot, not on the list. The flights these discs definitely vary a lot
Okay.
because that's all up to party.
I kind of I
Doesn't really
feel like a Thunderbird would be a good one. I'll go with that. See where we're at.
Not on the list.
It's hard because we don't get a hot or cold, but it makes sense. Because
Well, let's
it
just
doesn't
go-
make me feel like
Well, but we're just going to... He won't... Yeah, because we'll
Yeah,
just be like,
no.
not on the list.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help us.
yeah.
But, I mean, I feel like once you get to 11 or 12 speed, we're too far.
I
that
would
way.
agree.
So we got to be in the fairway to mid-range. Maybe it's slower.
That's
Maybe
where I was
it's
about to
slower.
head, Hunt.
Let's go
That was-
zone.
Not on the list.
Okay. I'm going to go with an AVR 3.
Not on the list.
I feel like once we get
you
one,
guys are-
it'll be really easy to get a second.
You guys are looking.
I think an AVR
You guys are definitely
3
looking for
is
something more in the
close.
mid-range category.
Oh.
Being in
Okay, well then I know my next guess. 'Cause
Malta.
not on the list.
This one was going to be my first guess, but I felt like it was too slow. I will go Mako 3.
Great guess. Not on the list.
Because it's a
MD1.
Not on the list.
Mako.
Not on the list.
Okay, because he said you had to be specific, so that's what
True.
I was thinking.
Rock 3.
Bang.
Oh, okay.
Rock 3 is the last one on this list.
That was my
so
first
Konner,
guess
you
in my
get
head
one more
because
try.
he said you had to be specific. I was like, it's going to be one of the rock molds, but I was like, that's too low hanging fruit.
Well, there's a few that are kind of specific. Konner, you get one more try because that is the last one. There's a 4.3% variability from the variance from the perfect average disc. The best one on here is only 2.06 different.
So what I would say, the information I've been given is quite a few of these discs are very similar. And that's the only thing. Just throwing out a random disc out there is not going to percentage-wise get me the most likely correct thing. So I'm going to stick with similar. What mold is the most similar to a Rock 3? I'm not saying an answer yet. I'm just thinking.
Okay.
So it's either waspy. It's either a wasp. There's that Dark Horse Legacy disc that's like basically a rock. But it's a rock, not a Rock 3. I'm gonna go with I'll go with a wasp.
The wasp is not on the list.
Okay.
The hornet is though.
Interesting.
What's interesting about this list is a lot of these molds are no longer made. Molds like the kite. There's some like
the kite.
That's
the
fast.
kite is on here. The dolphin is on here. You also have a couple different Prodigy molds. The A2, the A1, the M1, and the M3 are all on the list. The most average one is the Viking Discs Loki. That is the most average disc in existence.
That's crazy.
The Justice is on here though, as is the Badger, two very overstable discs.
Interesting.
But they're all mid ranges. Now, one other thing that somebody else did, this would be like a little mini game, is somebody created the most. So those are the most average, like based on the numbers. Now somebody went for the most common. So somebody kind of used, like, looked for like the mode, basically, like what are the diameters, heights, rim depth, and rim thicknesses we see the most.
Okay.
And they compiled a short list of, or they got the 4 numbers that are like basically the most seen, and there are 9 discs that have these numbers of diameter, height, rim depth, and rim thickness. So now you're looking for what appears, the kind of disc that appears most.
Okay.
And the 9 discs that use kind of those numbers.
Okay. I went first last time. You want to go first this time? I got some good guesses.
Buzz.
Yeah, Buzz. No? Holy moly. I'm going to go one of the most attempted to recreate discs of all time, the Destroyer.
No, but you're on a closer train of thought there.
By recreated, like
T-Bird.
ones that try to get recreated?
No.
Was I on a closer train of thought because of my disc or because of the words I said? I will go AVR.
No.
Zone.
No.
I don't know, man. I got no
Okay.
It's not. You guys are thinking of discs people would want to copy. It's not really like that.
Okay.
It's like what Konner kind of had said it earlier, but like discs that seem to pop up a lot, and then these are 9 that just kind of happen to fit in that category.
I feel like that's what we've named.
I do.
No,
Similar.
no.
Like I can think of like 7 buzzes.
No, Konner made it. No, not in that sense. Konner made a comment about what kind of discs feel like they're getting approved a lot when he was talking about
Drivers.
the average.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like a lot of people make overstable fairway drivers. What do I choose for that? I feel like the representative has to be a Firebird, so I'll go Firebird.
Wraith.
Nope. This might be too hard. I don't know. There's
Raptor?
only 9 of them. No. It's kind of because this one's kind of random. I'll just see if you guys could guess.
I'm still having fun.
Zeus.
No.
Okay,
You guys are getting
leopard.
close.
Leopard.
No. It's a faster driver. All of these are faster drivers,
Oh.
obviously, because
Wow.
they have the same.
Force.
Yes, that's one of them.
Oh, there we go.
So it's the Prodigy D1, D2, and D3. Pretty funny that they all have the exact same.
So how did they
Diameter
get
height.
to these numbers?
These are like the modes. So they would look at the diameter of discs. What is the diameter that pops up the most commonly? Then that's our diameter number. Now let's look at the height.
So it's not all
What's the
4
one?
of these pop up the most common.
No, it's each one, and then what are the 4 discs that used each one of those numbers? So the D1, D2, D3, the Emperor, the Shrike, the Giant, the Archon, and the Force are the 9 discs that all use those stats.
Interesting. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah. What's crazy about those lists
The
is
Archon and the Force surely don't have the same rim width.
apparently they do.
That's interesting.
You can double check it.
that up.
Yeah, I don't know.
That because they do not
Unless the
feel
guy-
anywhere close.
Really? I feel like they're both
The
wide.
Archon?
The Archon's like a 12 speed, right?
I didn't think so.
21.1.
That's diameter.
What's the rim with?
Rim. We want what? Rim thickness 2.3.
Yeah, I don't know what he may have meant rim diameter because I think his number. Yeah, diameters. Oh well, rim thickness is
also
2.3.
2.3.
Yeah.
The Archons are
So it is
that
the same.
fast?
Yeah, it's 12 speed. It's just like
Did not
crazy.
think that.
It's crazy flippy.
No, that's 11 speed.
They call it 11.
See, that's what I'm saying. Flight numbers.
You've been conditioned.
Pointless.
You've been
Pointless.
institutionalized.
Flight numbers are.
Yeah, I'd say
pointless.
that's what I took most from that was it's so crazy that these discs can have such like stats and fly so differently because parting line is all that matters.
Yeah.
Everything else is just mumbo jumbo
That's interesting.
nonsense.
I enjoyed that game.
Well, the rim configuration is drastically different between the two.
Yeah.
Flexibility's a little different. Everything else the same.
Crazy. Just a couple little tweaks to turn an Archon into a force.
Hey, arsenic and Advil are both come in pill form and start with an A.
Good point.
It's not the similarities that's important there. Shout out Wes Huff.
Yeah, actually, that scholar proven.
I really enjoyed that game. I pretty much enjoy any situation I'm in where I'm just saying names of discs. I pretty much have fun anytime I'm just saying discs.
You should use ChatGPT to make a disc golf trivia game.
Great idea.
We should do a game one time.
Actually,
I have no idea.
I said great idea. I think I did that about 2 weeks ago and was pretty sorely disappointed with the results, but maybe we try it
Let's
again.
just try
Let's
it
try
right
it right now.
We should do a social clip.
We only have one more thing to talk about, so
just-
let's just try it right now.
We should do a social video where we each individually obviously just see who can name the most disc golf discs.
Dude, have you ever seen people
Then
do-
most molds.
There's this trend where guys will get on a flight and instead of like doing anything, they would pull out a notepad and pen piece
Oh, and see how many
athletes
they can name.
like from any part of time, right? And like they'll just and the guys who really go for it will be like on 3-hour flights and literally be thousands of names in and just the most random names of athletes. Like Hunter and I, maybe we should do that with discs.
How many disc golfers?
Well, disc golfers, like
It's not as vast of
I'd
a
only make
pool.
it about an hour in, probably, maybe less, and I'd probably run out.
I feel like I could name a lot of discs.
I could go, but discs. I mean, it's still not as boundless as athletes.
Maybe it's just
but-
disc golf.
Really? 'Cause
Disc
there's a
golfers
lot of
or
discs.
discs.
Yeah, but like I can only think of so many. What?
Disc golfers or discs.
Disc golfers.
No,
or
I think it's
discs?
just discs.
discs. Like, because there's only so many companies that I even know discs from. Like there might be 6 or 7 that I can get like a good bit, and then everybody else is gonna make. I know a few molds. I don't know.
I feel like we should just do a contest
I
of who
got
can list the most
A
discs.
Just take a long time.
question
Yeah.
short answer disc golf trivia game. Don't
Okay,
look, Trev.
okay, I
Because
didn't know.
I have to see the answers apparently.
Okay.
Okay.
First question.
Well, you have to tell it. Don't show me the answer until I tell you. Then it will listen.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I'm kind of an expert.
First question. What is the term used when a player completes a hole in one throw?
Anheuser.
Con, you can get one on him here.
Shoot, that was it.
Hole in 2.
Hole in one throw.
They got.
Dang it!
All right,
You should have
0-0.
answered it correctly. It would have been funnier.
All right. Which company?
We got ahead of the bit.
Which company is widely credited with producing the first modern disc golf basket?
Should be Gateway, but I'll give it to Innova. Oh, disc
It
golf
was
basket.
DGA.
Disc golf basket.
Well,
right?
I'm gonna say Innova because it's probably wrong.
I'm going to say DGA.
It was Innova. I think it's supposed to be DGA because it says Innova Champion Discs invented the
Wait,
disc.
is this ChatGPT saying
Yeah.
this? Oh, that's
Innova
funny.
Champion Disc invented the disc golf pole by Ed Hedrick.
Loser.
So it credited Ed Hedrick, the founder of DGA, with Innova.
I'm winning. The new game is you have to think what it's gonna say wrong.
In what decade was disc golf formalized with standardized rules and organized play?
The 1970s.
I'm going to say the 1980s.
It was the 70s.
Oh, bum, Trev.
I am the
What
goat at
is
this.
the area called from where a player begins each hole?
T-pad.
The tee box?
T-pad. Con gets that one. Final question. What is the
So if
term?
you pick the right answer.
What is the term for a throw that curves from left to right for a right-handed backhand thrower?
A backhand roller.
I'm going to guess that it's referring to an Anheuser.
Anheuser was correct. Connor is your winner.
Get wrecked,
They
Trev.
really,
Seriously?
they kind of figured it out towards the end there.
Yeah.
They really got their head on straight.
Okay, final piece of talking points here. The Brian and Nate announced, that's Nate Perkins, announced on the Jomez podcast that the All Women Sports Network is now going to be broadcasting live FPO coverage of several events. So the All Women Sports Network, if you're wondering what that is, I am too a little bit because I can't quite find. I know the information I have found is Whoopi Goldberg owns it.
Shout out Whoopi.
It is has a website, and
they have a guide.
They have a guide
Where
that does
can
not
you
include
watch
disc
it?
golf. Unfortunately, because they said that the Discmania Challenge first round was going to be broadcast live, but when the Discmania Challenge is going on, they're broadcasting Sports Woman magazine.
But maybe they meant like it's going to be live on their channel.
No, they said live, like Mirror DGN live. So that
They
confused
haven't
me a
got the
little
memo
bit.
yet.
But no, if you go into leagues, Disc Golf Pro Tour is listed as a
Okay.
league.
This website is tough.
If you go to All About Us, it's about the All Women Sports Bar Network, from sports bars to pop-ups.
Oh.
But that's not what they're
Yeah, the all women
pushing it
sports
as?
bar thing is a big thing right now. They're going in everywhere.
okay.
They're just sports bars for all women sports.
So there you go. So this is that.
So maybe they only play these networks at their bars.
No, because on
Wrong.
the podcast, Brian and Nate said that it's available in like 800 million U.S. homes.
Is it on YouTube TV?
What I discovered, not on YouTube TV, it's on Pluto TV, and I think it's on some like free access. So like if you have a Roku TV or stuff like that, I think you can get. So I think it's like it's
like an app.
available in that many homes because that's how many homes have access to a TV that could download the app to watch it.
Understood.
Okay.
So I don't really know how.
Sounds like it's huge for disc golf.
What's
I don't really
What is
know.
the point of it? Like,
What's cool is this is the first time, in my understanding, that because I know it's on Pluto. I
Live
could
disc
find
golf will
that
be live on TV.
it will be live on TV
That's
of
cool.
some format. So
Is it free?
now you're asking me too many questions that is impossible to find.
Ask ChatGPT again.
No, this is the problem. So there's a secondary problem I ran into is there's also a women's sports network that exists. There's an all women's sports network, and then there's the women's
gosh.
sports network. So when you Google information,
They need to merge.
you get both of them. So I don't know which one's available where.
Well, I feel like what is the like I assume
to
the
be
main
clear-
I assume the main agenda is to get women's sports out there.
That's of the all women's sports
but
network.
Is the emphasis on all women's sports?
It's
or
only women's
all
sports.
women's
All women,
sports?
only women's sports.
Because I'm just there. I know Whoopi Goldberg is extremely like.
they only plays women's sports.
I know, but I'm wondering what the. Never mind. I think why is it owned by Whoopi Goldberg?
She probably started. I don't know.
I know. I'm just wondering what the difference is between that and the other women's thing that you were talking about is.
The women's sports network. I'm not sure.
Women's sports network.
It's probably just a competing thing.
I think they're just
Okay.
competing.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
It seems like they attempt to do the same thing, and they just because the women's sports network is a home for women's sports. The all women's sports network is a global sports television dedicated to women's sports.
Oh, okay.
So they do the same thing.
Okay.
Now I don't really.
I just didn't know Whoopi Goldberg was like into sports.
Well, she's into business.
Yeah.
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 That's why
It's-
I honestly felt like it was going to be her trying to make a political point because that's where I hear the most clips from Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, that's
but-
because she's on The View.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. Here, it is good for disc golf from the standpoint of disc golf will be live on people's TVs in some way, shape, or form.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, only because the schedule doesn't show it, but they could have had it a little bit off.
Say so yet.
But U.S. Women's was on
we
it.
don't know where you can watch it.
That's where this all falls apart. Is I would
Right.
love to tell you. I know if you have Pluto TV, you can find it. I know because I have YouTube TV, you can't find it on there.
How is their website not feature where
That's
you
what's
can
frustrating,
watch us?
is-
Subscribe.
I hit that. It's their email newsletter list.
This entire thing's a sham.
Hey,
that's
either
where
way,
this
it's
all-
something.
It
This
is
website
something.
sucks.
That's where
It's
disc
something.
golf. What sucks about this isn't anything to do with disc golf. The disc golf network is broadcasting, mirroring a live thing to a network
think they are.
that has no information on it anywhere. That's
Yeah,
where this
I
whole
don't
falls
even
apart.
think it's real. I think their
I don't know
business-
where you find
Maybe
this
their
place.
This is a
business
tax
plan
write-off.
Yeah, their business plan is
They're
that they tell you
laundering.
that you're going to
Whoopi's laundering.
Well, no. So the all women sports bar
The
network.
bars are real.
Those are real. You can find these bars.
Yeah.
And that plays this all women sports network in there.
No, I think Whoopi's
I
laundering.
think the main purpose of this network might be to play in the bars. I'm not denying it might be able to be found
Well,
on like
now
Pluto.
it's on Pluto because if they on their home website there is this play, and I was like, oh, this will hopefully tell me some information. And when I played it, it's just Whoopi Goldberg announcing they're on Pluto.
So like they probably
So
started
I think it's
in the bars,
just on Pluto for
and then
right
they're
now.
just now they're so really the headline should have been, if they weren't trying to make it sound better, women's disc golf is going to be live on Pluto, which might actually be cooler.
Yeah, because
the name sounds cool.
Does
All
anybody
women's
use
sports.
Pluto?
All women's sports sounds like a bigger deal.
It
Well, 'cause
does.
this is
Well, no,
what's-
it sounded much bigger.
what's confusing to me is like if you use the like AI thing from Google, because if you just search,
Yeah.
I was just trying to find their ratings, like how many people watch this thing. And if you just search All Women's Sports Network ratings, it gives you women's sports ratings,
That's a
which
tough
obviously
thing
is
to
not what I
Google.
want. There was like an article that's like, oh, it's available in 85% of homes, but then when you click on that article, I think it's about the Women's Sports Network.
Looks like it, yeah.
So I don't know, but if you have Pluto, you can watch live women's disc golf, certain rounds. Like U.S. Women's, I think it was all the rounds. Round one was...
Such a funny like.
So this
headline.
just isn't for the disc golfer.
It's not for the disc
It's not
golfer.
gonna change anything
It's
for a disc
cool-
golfer.
It's cool
Yeah.
as a disc golfer because at least
It might get in other people's homes.
it's on.
Yeah.
It has the chance to be on TV in a non-disc golfer home.
ATV
In a
with
non-disc golfer home.
something possibly
I don't know
Pluto
how it gets
on
there. I don't know how it gets there, but there is a
some
chance.
brand of TV with a
Correct.
specific app
Correct.
will have disc golf on it.
And I do want to emphasize,
Grow the sport.
I think this is really cool for
Yeah,
the
this
Disc
is
Golf
cool.
Network. I think it's a very cool move. I'm just confused, All Women's Sports Network, why they aren't broadcasting how you can watch it. That's not on disc golf. That's on the All Women's Sports Network. Like, if
Come on,
I go to
Whoopi.
your website, why can't I just see Watch Us? Like, the About Us just says All Women's Sports Bar Network. And that's all I can find there. But then the
It's an
homepage...
extremely troublesome name to Google.
The
'Cause then you're like,
homepage
how do I watch all women's sports?
homepage is just a homepage is just a video, and if I hit play, that's just announcing it's on Pluto, and then there's news stories about women's sports.
There's a lot to unpack here. Wait, not really.
I was hoping to be able to deliver, like, because I watched the podcast of them
It's
talking
so
about it.
frustrating trying to
and-
Google more information about
exactly, because I'm just typing in all women's sports.
LLC. You need to
it's-
add an LLC.
Maybe
at
I
the
need to
end.
add in, because I heard Brian and then talk about it. I was like, this is actually really cool. I'm really excited. Like, is it? And then I was just trying to find, is it on YouTube TV? Is it on Dish? Is it on DirecTV? Is it what's their average viewers across, like, whatever? And that stuff you just can't find because, and it seemed like they were also in a little bit confused, but obviously they were the ones making the announcement because they were like, from my understanding, it's like it can be in 800 million homes because that's true. But I think it might be more like you could probably give a similar stat for Disc Golf Network of like
It can
it's
be
available
Yeah.
in every home that has a Roku TV. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
every home that has an Xbox. Like it's available in it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Makes sense.
I don't know. The All Women's Sports
It's
Network.
something.
Whoopi Goldberg, if you're listening, add into your website where to watch.
Talk
add
about us
that
on the
button.
View.
Add where to watch on it.
It's on the View.
Shout us out on The View.
I don't think we want to hear what they would say about us on
But
the
just
View.
add in a where to watch button is all I want to see. But it is very cool. It's very cool for disc golf. It's very cool for disc golf that it has, because this is the first time live.
These three boys only see one thing when they see this trophy.
no.
This is the thing that's wrong with boys. They only see one thing when they look at a trophy.
And there we go. We've got Konner off
And
the rails.
there you go.
There
You're
you
gonna
go.
love our trophy segment.
It is cool because this is the first time, from my understanding, that live disc golf, like truly live disc golf, is on a TV platform.
Not in Finland.
Not in Finland.
They did it in Finland.
Good point.
Already.
So, all
take
right,
that.
time for Silas
It's something.
Selects.
I stand by. It's something.
I think it's very cool for disc golf. I think
Yep.
All Women's Sports Network needs to figure out their PR team.
Oh,
Because
Shout
and
out
there's also
Whoopi.
There's also link in the bio. There's a lot of click on link in the bio to watch, and you
No
click on link in the bio, it takes you to their website, which
Sounds
gives
like-
me no information.
That
sounds
is
like
making no
they
sense to me,
don't really know
dog.
what they are yet, but that's cool.
They're still figuring out what we are.
Silas Selects time.
Let me lock
Shoot.
In. Let me lock in. Okay. Well, actually, last time I locked in, it didn't work. I'm gonna try it though.
He's not gonna lock it.
I'm
You
gonna
are you are not gonna lock it.
I'm
gonna
locking
lock
into
in, yeah.
Connor's answer because
locking
we got to
in.
let Con go first.
I'm locking in.
That's not ever what we did in the past. I don't care, but that's
Well, in
not.
the
That
past,
wasn't like a rule.
In the past, there was
Never-
2 of us that hadn't gotten it yet.
Right.
Now there's just you.
Yeah, I know, but
So
what
I
is it?
want to give you. I don't want to take one that could be your answer, and then it ends
Correct.
up being
we are
right.
giving you as much help as possible to try and push you across the finish line.
Okay.
Just shove you across.
I just want you to have a blank slate. I don't want like I say rock 3, and then
It influenced my decision
or you can't take the rock 3 and you wanted to, and it
gonna
ends
get-
up being the rock 3.
It's gonna get real testy in here.
because
whenever-
both times that whenever you guys have gotten it, it's because I have texted you guys and told you what it is.
Okay. You don't even have my
Um,
number, so
Forget my number. I'm
You don't
gonna
even have my
stick
number, it's
to, and by stick to I mean decide on. What would Whoopi pick? Probably the baby destroyer. I think it's a destroyer.
all right.
Whoopi,
It's not my
help
turn.
me out here.
Oh, we're going in order. I'm gonna go rock 3 because I said it like 3 times, and if it was a rock 3, I'd be very disappointed I didn't
Dumb.
take it. So
Dumb.
Give me the link.
the link didn't
oh,
take
like
us
the
anywhere,
link, like
Trev.
the
that was
link.
the whole problem
Yeah,
with the last
you mean
segment.
like the disc, the link.
Give me the link.
I think I'm right. I think Whoopi helped me with this one.
That's a dirty play.
Persona.
That's a
Thought
dirty
space.
play.
What the
Going
heck
thought
is-
space.
what the
Thought
heck
dirty.
is
space
that
was
disc?
wild because
That's a dirty play.
we were never getting there.
Yeah, that's-
Great
How does
feeling
it
disc
feel?
though.
Yeah,
That's
it
a
feels
discraft
good.
one.
Feels good.
The Persona is?
Yeah.
Feels phenomenal.
Dirty plays.
Looks nice.
I hate when he plays dirty.
He did play dirty.
I
very
think
dirty
Thought
pick.
Space Athletics is too long of a name.
TSA.
TSA is better, but it doesn't necessarily bring up positive thoughts whenever I say TSA.
That's fair. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. If you're going to be in Des Moines, we'll see you there. We're super excited. Be sure to tune in, even if you're not going to be in Des Moines, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Central, so 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe, on the Disc Golf Pro Tours YouTube channel. Watch the Creators Challenge. Me and Brody are going to be
challenge.
absolutely destroying Trevor and
In
Yuli and all the other
Wisconsin.
ones.
And all
out
the
in
other ones.
Des Moines, Iowa. So we'll see you out there.